welcome on in. Thank you all for joining us. Had a bit of a technical difficulties at the beginning here, but we are live, and I'm joined here by the one and only Rodney Conyers Jr. Host. How are you feeling, Rodney?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. Up here right now in Seattle, coming off hot off the tracks of Port Priority number 7, which I know we'll talk about a little bit later. But in a typical Rodney on the road fashion, I am staying an extra day so we can knock out the wonderfulness that is the wide world of electronic sports. And I'm very excited to be back, Denny. It's going to be a great one.
Yeah, for sure. Always a fun time on Wide World, and we got plenty to talk about. So let's, dive right in. Our first story today definitely raised some eyebrows and should be pretty interesting whenever it does go down. But apparently, Waka Flocka Flame wants to smoke. Yes, I threw in that pun on purpose, but but he wants it with one of the best fighting game players in the world, and that is Sonic Fox. I didn't actually know that Waka Flocka had his own esports company, but his own org. But apparently that's the thing going down, and so maybe he wants to get a little bit of a press or promo going for it with of course taking on one of the goats of the FGC. But what did you think when you heard about Waka wanting to throw down with the one and only Sonic Fox?
Well, I thought one of two things. The first one was that, this is really big for the culture, for both cultures. I think we talk so much about Street Fighter 6 and how it's kind of getting back to its like grittier, street, more urban roots. That's being kind of done like in game, but outside the game, we certainly need that type of crossover as well. And I think, honestly, Sonic Fox, it represents everything that the fighting game community is, inside and out. Best player in the world, one of the best players literally ever do it. He's on that Mount Rushmore fighting game players, like him and Daigo and Justin Wong and a handful of others. Represents a lot of people just due to the very nature of his existence, no matter which area of the world you come from, I think a lot of people look to Sonic Fox for inspiration in more ways than one. And, to have him go up against him like Waka Flocka Flame, this is huge, man. Waka Flocka, of course, very, very hot artist. I think anybody who knows rap music knows that, has some immediate club bangers that when you hear them, you stop and you hit that dance floor, man. It's kind of like Drop It Like It's Hot with the, with Lil Wayne and the gang back in the day. Like you hear like, I got a whole lot of money, so you hear that and it's like, I'm pulling up, bro. So it's good to see that type of culture kind of mingle together in the middle. Now, I guess my biggest question is, and this isn't really to you, but this is kind of to everybody. I want to know really where his skills lie. Now, Waka Flocka back in 2017 went to a DreamHack Atlanta that I thought was super awesome. Like he pulled up, I think we talked about it before. He actually spit some bars. He freestyled live, and that kind of changed my whole outlook on Waka. I was like, I thought this dude's not a one-trick pony, but only made this certain type of music, only this certain type of rap. Bro, he was spitting live, bro. The beat stop, acapella bars. So I'm like, okay, he's well-rounded. Okay, he's well-rounded in more than one way. He's playing fighting games. Problem is, though, is that, Danny, he ain't just playing fighting games against any old damn body. He's playing against the best in the damn galaxy right now. I ain't seen somebody else come from another planet and challenge Sonic Fox. So I'm very excited to see this go down.
Yeah, you bring up a good point there. I mean, Waka's he's definitely multifaceted. I mean, I even found out he had his own TV show apparently with his wifey that airs every week, his own reality show. So my man's just getting money from different places. Enough that put together an org, which means he has enough passion to have an actual sponsored org that he's putting together for all this. So that tells me that he's both passionate about the game side of things, but also about competition, which people they put their money into different things. You see on the sports side, there's so many other avenues of things that go down. So it's really interesting to see it kind of go down with esports, but also like fighting games specifically. Because, the rap game and hip-hop artists, a lot of them have all, shown off their, background in the fighting game side of things for a long time. Being fans of Tekken or Mortal Kombat, you've seen some of that crossover happening with some of the promotion when those games come out as well, or as new releases and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool to see all this going down the way it is now. But I remember even back when, the old, like, MTV Cribs days when you'd see, like, when they, the infamous, Redman episode, and my man said the
Oh
whole
God.
N64 and Dreamcast setup, and
Yep.
like
Yep.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and Street Fighter and all them joints in there, like for me, I was like, oh, they're playing all the hot fighting games and stuff like that, like I do. I'm like, that's still a thing here. People might get more of emphasis, when it comes to a lot of shooters nowadays of Apex and Call of Duty, and those kind of things that are always blowing it up. We saw like Patrick Mahomes like tweeting out to Travis Kelce and everybody like, "Hey guys, it's bye week, so we're gonna have to hop on Call of Duty this week and get it down." The new game is dropping. Like that kind of crossover happening more and more often. I think there's definitely an avenue for maybe more of influence, huge influencers and stuff like that getting involved on this side, this kind of avenue between hip hop, sports, athletes, maybe diving more into the esports realm. There'd be a lot of different ways it can go. Um, that being said, this is Sonic Fox. I don't want it to be embarrassing, but like we're gonna have to see. Maybe Waka. I'm not. Maybe he's a secret. Tekken master. And he's got like a ghost account that he's been using for the past several years on Tekken 7. And my man's got the master rank somewhere or something. And he comes up and surprises us. But look, if that happens, I'm obviously not putting any money on the showdown, but it would make some front page news for sure in the game. I think the gaming wave, if he were to pull up and put it down on Sonic Fox, I think that would definitely be some fantastic conversation to have
I
afterwards.
think so too. I think so too, bro. I think this crossover kind of revitalizes like what the fighting game community is, and I think there's been kind of this misconception over the last 10, 15, 20 years that fighting games is just kind of like this subculture. It doesn't bleed into anything else. It doesn't belong anywhere else. You can't really put anything else in it. And I think this crossover kind of just proves a lot of that. Like, bro, the fighting game community is the culmination of like hip hop culture, streetwear, urban wear, a lot of things kind of slammed into one. And the only thing that we were kind of missing from that concoction were other people from other genres coming back into the fighting game community and, doing things like this. And I'm so glad that it's here because, like, you know, I think people sometimes forget about the people skills and just the interconnectivity from person to person needed to be good in fighting games back in the day. Like, yes, you and I, of course, we've been around for a long time, but even before us, there was a whole generation of people where if you wanted to play fighting games, you had to go to your local arcade. You got to be a decent human being, good enough, to play, and you're playing for money too, no matter how much way you spend it, because you got to put some quarters up or shut up. So like, there's just a lot of just basic human skills like needed in order to exist in this environment. And I think, we've kind of forgot about that a little bit. I think hopefully this crossover, this match will certainly prove that the fighting games are community is here to stay in a big way, but also we have that superstar, crossover thing that the other games have. Like League of Legends just have Little Nas X. There's so many other musicians have kind of popped over into more traditional esports, but fighting game culture, we should have been the first for that. We should have been the first to have the hip hop acts pulling up and running the friendlies and whatever. Not even like without Elite, like I even just at a grassroots level. So this right here could shake some stuff up. I know we've had Lupe in the past, and that was certainly a big deal. Maybe it was a little too early for its time, but I think right now the culture all the way across the board is screaming crossovers. How can we collab in the middle?
Yeah,
And I think this event's going to do just that.
yeah. I mean, like Lupe pulling up was cool, but Lupe's also low key when it comes to kind of those kind of tie-ins. I think if it had been someone that was into that kind of thing, it definitely could have gone somewhere differently.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like even if he pulled up with like folks like Wu Tang, just like
Mm.
your Meth and Red combo, doing some kind of tag team for things that might be even a tag team game, like a multiverses or something like that. You never know what some of those things might go in some down the scenario. I do want to shed a little bit of light on Waka's Oregon stuff too. I mean, since it looks
Yeah, let's
like
do it.
they're based in Atlanta, um, so they got Nobi Gaming, which it looks like it's based off of the layout. He's co-owning it with the real fashion I think I've seen more on like the fashion tip and stuff like that on the Atlanta side of things. But yeah, they've got a solid layout, and it looks like he's actually recruiting. So Flocka, I guess, is kind of putting the feelers out there for a bunch of different genres. So I'm assuming that there'll be a mix of both like the NBA 2Ks, but also like the shooters and stuff like that. So
Yep.
fighting games, the FGC side is just one angle that they're coming at this from. But it sounds like he
Mhm.
wants us to be a pretty multifaceted org overall. So signups were opened as of last month, and I'm sure he's probably still looking for folks an opportunity. So yeah, I mean on his part, business side, if you get this going down, it's definitely put a lot more eyes on your org starting out, which is smart. I think it's definitely a way to draw in some attention and going straight for it in a way that he is. Also, of course, it helps that Sonic's you know he's talented in a bunch of different games. You can keep doing this basically if you wanted to, and after Tekken, you can go MK or Injustice or pretty much any title that you want. And I'm sure he'd be down Street Fighter even, especially when Street Fighter 6 comes out. I mean, if Waka could make a couple calls, maybe get some friends together, you know,
Mhm.
from the industry to come through and try out, a new Street Fighter. Capcom should be getting in on that. To be honest, like I would, let me see Rick Ross or somebody pull up, put the sticks up, put together a
Yeah.
little, like a squad, because I do think that like sometimes that kind of combination works really well when you pair people who may be more casual or just less skilled at the game with someone that is skilled, just so you get that kind of pairing. So like if there's a teammate involved, a celebrity teammate, with someone who's got the skill behind it, for a game like Street Fighter or whatever when it drops, that'd be fun to watch. Like you do like a little invitation or something like that, and each you know rapper or hip hop artist or whatever, it gets paired with a previous Street Fighter champion or competitor, and you see what goes down on both ends. They got somebody coaching them in the background and stuff like that. I'd be hyped to watch that.
Yes. Yes. I 100% agree. And we did. I think they did something similar to that at Thunder Gaming just a couple years ago. They did the Chief Keef Mortal Kombat Invitational, where he brought out some of the best players in the world, and he had his team there as well too. But even in that environment, as cool as that was, and as dope as it was to be in the same room as Chief Keef, I still feel like there was like an element of like, just we all should be playing together, sort of missing. Chief Keef kind of stayed to himself, and he popped out a few times and did his thing, and all his players were there. But I think for something like this, I agree. You definitely want to see like the
Yeah,
casual people, the celebs, and of course the professional people, kind of all on the ground level together, just doing what we do, expect and showcasing where it all started. Just people sitting down and just playing the game together. And again, this kind of showcases, again, the versatility of Waka Flocka. I know even just earlier, was it last year? I think he was really big into NFTs. I still see like the .eth next to his name, so he might
hmm
still be into that wheelhouse. I know he had a little bit of a mishap in the NFT market where he lost like a couple bands, but I mean, what's a couple bands to a guy like Waka Flocka Flame, right?
yeah. I mean, sometimes you gotta, there is some risk to some of those things, but there's also investment. But a lot of folks they've taken into finding out more about how to make their money grow. I mean, you look at
Mm,
Chamillionaire, what he did after, you know, getting this bands together, and he was like, "Hey, look, the tech industry's taking off, so am I." My man's is living pretty good now. He might pop up for a feature every once in a while, but he's got those kind of investments locked in a way where I wouldn't be surprised if he popped up and decided he wanted to take on a team or something down the line.
mm,
So yeah, there's folks that get involved in those kind of ways. I do think that we saw Red Bull play about some of those kind of things before, but we're in the I think kind of in the realm right now where you're seeing a lot more of these kind of collabs happening. Even we saw Lil Nas X recently with League and Worlds, pulling up and getting more involved in the marketing side of things. There might be some room for tie in there down the line with some of these, both on the gameplay end, but in other places. So I think it's healthy for both the community, but also if they actually embrace the grassroots side of stuff like the FGC, we could see a lot of growth more on the mainstream end that makes this more into something that people might feel invited to or welcome to. I feel
mm.
like, which is some of what is missing a bit more of from the public standpoint. I feel like sometimes because we don't have the arcades anymore the way we used to and stuff like that, where you meet up. And COVID happened, so it's even harder to get together with people all your friends or whatever and just pick up the sticks and stuff like that, like you might have done before. Um, so yeah, I think if there's more of like the public side getting to see some of this happening at face value with people that they know, then maybe they'll be more enticed to come through and pull up to a local event or something like that, or even a major if it's a big enough in their city. I mean, obviously Atlanta has a couple of different events going down, like your final rounds and such, and also different tourneys at different conventions and stuff like that too. So it's definitely a major hub for those kind of things.
Yeah, no doubt, bro. And we're also just like in this new renaissance period. And I know you and I have talked about this numerous of times on here, but
Mm-hmm.
just to reiterate, everybody, like Project L's coming out. Multiverse is still trailing along too. I feel like the game is starting to kind of dwindle a little bit in terms of like player usage and numbers, but I think the innovation is still certainly there. Street Fighter 6, I mean, everybody's still clamoring for that. I'm hearing that people are running pirated versions of the game at some tournaments just off to the side. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to name exactly which ones, but I'm hearing the chatter
Yeah,
and
we don't want
yeah,
Capcom coming through and locking us up. All right, but
that's
yes,
right.
I have heard similar things as well.
That's right. And Tekken 8 too as well. I mean, there's just this is a really good time to get into fighting games. And I think the beautiful thing about fighting games too is that there is no like the level of gatekeeping. I mean, there's gatekeeping in anything that you do because just those whack ass people exist. But like in terms of fighting games, it's kind of hard to gatekeep in this community. Like the tournaments are free to pull up on. It's not like a closed bracket style thing. Not there's not always an invitation or like a circuit. Sometimes you could just pull up, get in bracket, get your ass beat, you know what I'm saying, and go home and eat that and be like, all right, man,
Yeah,
I want to get better. Let me pull up to the next tournament that's free to the public to pull up in. And uh,
that
I think,
fighting spirit.
again, bro, you got to have it. I hope people really, take full advantage of this, bro. Like Guilty Gear ain't going nowhere no time soon. We just seen the Evo Japan lineup we covered last week as well.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good lineup. Virtual Fighters there too. So there's something literally here for everybody. But I think more than anything else, that we're going to go through another renaissance transitional period in the community. I would like to see us pull from other genres. And Waka Flocka coming through is amazing. I hope he sticks. I hope this ain't a one and done thing. Even if he gets whooped, which is a good chance he might get whooped, I hope he pulls up and he stays a while. Because all the other rappers who came through, they stayed for a minute, got their feet wet, was like, okay, I gotta go back to writing more songs and getting my music together. But Waka, bro, I know you doing your thing, but kick it with us for a little bit, bro. It ain't too bad in the FGC.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think this is a solid opportunity because at the same time, I mean, like I mentioned, they have a whole reality show. So, I mean, depending on how this goes, you might see some of that show up on television too. Since he's got his brand and organization and all that kind of stuff going down. So, how far you can go down the line. Especially if if the local scene embraces him and the team and stuff like that too. I mean, there's plenty of Atlanta FGC members and competitive players who get down out there. So, between him either signing some of those players or just them being like, "Hey, we got this going down every Thursday. Have some of your players pull up. You can come through. Things can pop off. That's what we want to see."
Bro, also really quick before we move on, I completely spaced on Le'Veon Bell. Actually, I'm gonna link this to you and just send it to you really quick. Le'Veon Bell, and he just tweeted a couple days ago, and this completely like escaped me. But he made a tweet and said, "I want to host the biggest Smash tournament of all time." Fuck, I'm trying to find it. Damn. I'm gonna find it, and then by then it's not. Oh, here it is. It says about to be back on Smash Heavy. I want to host another tournament. The box was fire, which is what he hosted with Hungry Box during the pandemic. Here, and I'll send it. Put it on the run a show here. Put it after the walk and stuff. So they did a tournament in the midst of the pandemic. Him and
Mm-hmm.
Hungry Box. I'm pretty sure it's regarded as the biggest online Smash tournament ever. A lot of money on the line. But he says he wants to do another one. He wants to go bigger and he wants to go better. Now, since making that tweet, every TO in the entire world was like, oh, damn, we want to get in and help organize this thing. We got RJ from Collision. I think Max, my roommate from Even Matchup Gaming, they do Get on My Level and Let's Make Moves. I think I seen Ludwig in there too. There's a lot of people who wants to get involved. And I'm like, yo, this is hype. And like, how quickly we forget about how important that was during the online era and how important it is to have people like this come over into our community. Because, bro, We got 2 circuits. You know what I'm saying? We're doing our thing. Le'Veon Bell gonna put up some real money, bro. He gonna put up some bands. And that's going to bring everybody and their mama's mama out here for this tournament. So Le'Veon Bell, I hope, you come out and you do the damn thing again, because that brought us even members from Brockhampton. I believe Don McLennan played in the last one, and him and I follow each other on Twitter now. We talk, on a, semi-frequent-ish basis, and, he's still playing games. He's still doing his thing. And I'm like, damn, bro, look at what the fighting game community can bring when we just kind of work together for a little bit. How are we not zeroing in on crossing over with people, who come from different genres and more focused on like the negativity and all that extra weird shit? This is what we need to focus on.
Yeah, no, you make a good point. That's what I'm saying. Like there's there's so much opportunity out there for if even just a couple of key athletes invested on that end of things, it would be huge. I mean, the type of money they're tossing around, at a strip club, put some of that, towards a tournament or two. Like it would be wild. You got that kind of get that kind of credibility as well, and you appeal to a whole different audience.
Mm-hmm.
Folks that don't even know how big some of the scale is here. I talk to people all the time that they understand that there's tournaments happening and stuff like that. They don't understand how big an Evo or something like that is, or how big that can get in comparison. So I think like if more people kind of understood that, then they might be down to watch or spectate or come through and see some solid gameplay and competition happen. And then when you get these kind of things happening, there's no reason why it can't grow to the point where it's like a Worlds where there's actual live performances and stuff like that going down, before a grand finals or something like that, or your last day, your Sunday events and things like that. There's plenty of room in there. You got people coming in anyway for and paying a general admissions fee and stuff like that to spectate or whatever. You take on a couple more dollars in there, you both raise the prize pool, and you might be able to get an opening act. There's a lot of different ways to kind of approach things like that too. So it's good to see that there's definitely seems to be a good vibe for where things are headed in that regard, with what we've seen here so far. So I'm happy to see that happening too.
Yeah, 100%, bro. Well, I guess to move on right here, man, because I know you guys can listen to Denny and I Theory Craft all day about what we want to see in the fighting game, but somebody somewhere, bro, is going to listen to Denny and I. They're going to be like, damn, them two boys was spitting. Let's put some money into these tournaments and make them better. Now, on the topic of tournaments that were ran really well over the weekend, we cannot ignore the whole reason why I'm even up here in the Pacific Northwest. Port priority number 7. Now, that just went down out here in Auburn. I think we moved locations from last year. We were in Auburn. We ran this tournament in the Muckleshoot Casino. And this tournament, as you know, Danny, has been the topic of a lot of conversation for both really good and really bad reasons. So, should we do the good or should we do the bad first?
Well, I mean, I guess we should most likely let's roll with the good first because we were just talking about the community. And wanted to see parts of that grow. But yeah, there is some good to get into, and then we got some heavier stuff to go into after that. But
okay, well,
what do you think of the overall vibe of the competition at the event?
Well, so I thought the competition was as fierce as ever. Now, Denny, we have talked time and time again, and even when Asif was kind of frequenting on the show as well, we talk about the whole thing with burnout. The Buzz is kind of the first top player to speak out publicly about it. Oh, man, there's so many events, man. I'm just starting to feel it. And then when I was in the Dominican Republic last weekend, I talked to Larry Lur and Fatality, and they said something similar. Like, they enjoyed the schedule, but the schedule and just like the sheer nature of both circuits, it's not enticing enough for them to travel every weekend. So they're kind of on the opposite end where they're not really like affected by the burnout, but they're not going to let themselves get overran by what these tournaments are kind of pushing. And I feel like Port Priority is a wonderfully ran event, great staff, and it's always the subject of something just spooky, something that it doesn't have anything to do with them, but they always end up getting the shit into that stick. The first one, a couple years ago, they could not for the life of them get a weekend to themselves. So, of course, the scheduling hasn't really let up in the last so many years. In fact, it's only gotten worse. But a couple years ago, they used to try to host tournaments, and every time they would try to host one, 2GG and them just could not figure out how to stop falling on each other same date. Last year was a success. They had the whole weekend to themselves. I think there may have been something like in another country, but that doesn't count. So they were to themselves, they did their thing, and then boom, like what happened happened. And of course, we'll talk about that. But the good thing about this event and what really made it shine was that wonderfully ran, big venue. Everybody was able to play friendlies all night. But the big thing was that Tweak. That's right. The legendary Smash player known as Tweak, and I'm saying legendary, but he's still playing, showed us that he still got it. And I'm starting to see like kind of a reoccurring trend. The Ludwig Invitational just a few weeks ago, MK Leo went in there and beat everybody's ass. I mean, it wasn't even remotely close, like how free this was. And I mean that with the utmost respect. Now, I'm hearing chatter and clamoring about PG stats right now. They're saying that if the PG stat was the PGR, excuse me, were to release tomorrow, that Leo would not be one, and Tweak would not be wherever that I think I want Tweak to be at in my heart. And honestly, I'm at the point now where I don't even give a damn. And this isn't, saying I'm discrediting PG's work at all. Love them. Glad that, they're doing everything that they do for the community. But and this is the basketball fan in me, I know what stats say, and then I know just fire ass performances when I see them. Okay, you don't see what Leo did at Ludwig's Invitational and Tweak did just last night here in Port Priority and not think, damn, these guys still the best in the world. I know that there's new players and stuff over them, like statistically with the better record, boom, boom, boom. But bro, you just see some dominant performances, Danny, and you just like, yeah, bro, ain't nobody touching this. It ain't happening, man. It ain't happening. And Tweak proof just that, so love that. Love the fact that, he was able to pop back in. He was a little down. He played earlier in winners, lost to God, and for the life of me can't remember this gentleman's name. I believe lost to a Snake. Snake was really good. Put Tweak in losers. Tweak, I'll be honest, was a little down on himself. He's like, man, I sucked. I can't believe I lost so early. What do I do? We looked at this boy who's like, you know what you got to do. You got to turn it up. And boy, he turned it up. Now, the interconnectivity between the Leo at Ludwig's and Tweak at Port situation is one player by the name of Karama, who used to go by Prodigy. Easily one of the best, if not the best Mario in the world. I don't know where the Marios are ranked these days, but one of the best Marios in the business. Played Leo in grand finals, came through the LCQ. Okay, had to fight through the LCQ, I think, to get to the actual invitational itself, and was the only person to take a game off of Leo. He didn't lose a set, but he did take a game off of him. Similar fashion to what we've seen here just over the last weekend. Played Tweak in grand finals. Took a couple games as well. He was in winners. Tweak had to reset the bracket on him. Karama was playing absolutely out of his mind. Karama still lost, but gave us a hell of a show. And because of that, I would imagine has gotten a lot of points towards the Smash World Tour and has qualified for Panda Cup as well. So back-to-back weekends, we'll be seeing him next month. Danny, this tournament was a thing of beauty, man. I really wish you could have pulled up. I know you don't play like a lot of Smash, but bro, like this one right here would have had you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it. I did, watch some of the highlights earlier in the day, but it looks like, definitely some against gameplay, especially coming down as heavy as it did in this grand finals end. I'm always down for, when you see a grand finals reset, it's about to get real intense. But yeah, I think that there's, despite my complaints about there seeming to be a different event every weekend, when it does hit hard. Both, especially when you see players playing at a top level and coming through in the way they do, and showing why they're at the places they are. It's good to see throughout the year. So I do think that this kind of reminds me of that feeling that folks pulling up and proving why they deserve to be where they are. Definitely is pretty cool. I just wish there's a better way to balance that out. As far as like showing like, hey, this is where we are by mid-season. Here's who the top players are, based off of their performances, and then seeing that still kind of come through towards the end of the year without it being necessarily a week-to-week situation with those kind of that kind of gameplay. And that's gonna also lead into what I'm gonna be putting a poll out for later today, and it's asking the general public and our viewers about how they feel about the Smash events and whether there are too many Smash events happening. I'm gonna keep it pretty simple. There'll be a yes and no option there, but basically, we'll give you guys the results on next week's show. But I'm generally curious to see how the general audience, people that maybe are spectating or watching these events, feel about it, because it seems like players might feel some burnout, but then at the same time, I see a lot of comments both on like YouTube or Twitch sometimes where like, man, where's the Smash this week? Where's this going on this week? Or how it seems like people aren't necessarily tired of watching the content, but at the same time, there's always a sacrifice when it comes to putting out that kind of effort, day in and day out.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think there's a double-edged sword in the Smash community. Of course, the first one is that there's so many tournaments, but I guess the pretty side of things is that our community strong enough to be able to host tournaments at this level all the time. But this even brings us back to our original point. Like, man, we wish that tournaments just gave you something different. It's very easy and this isn't even on the topic of port party. There's just a lot of tournaments that they just feel like reskinned what we just seen last week and the week before. And I think that's one thing that the traditional FGC, more than the fighting game community, is really, really good at, is making sure that Combo Breaker still gives you that major event feel, like this is a big fucking deal, but it feels different than CEO. And CEO feels different than Evo. Evo feels different than Final Round, and so on and so forth. And I think sometimes the Smash community struggles with that a little bit, but the takeaway is that we do have tournaments. And I love the fact that, since we're up here, in the Pacific Northwest, Nintendo even pulled up. And some of the employees, they pulled up and came and watched, and I thought that was a beautiful thing to see. Now, though they did pull up incognito, of course, as most companies do, but they did pull up, and I knew them, and I thought, you know what, this is where it starts. You got to at least get down on the ground level and get those hands dirty. Now, great thing about Leo and Tweak doing really well in the next, in the last so many weeks is that it feels like we've kind of reached like a full circle period. You get a game that comes out, here's the characters that are good, boom, 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 boom. Then DLC comes out. DLC has some sort of fucked up ass mechanic that makes it really difficult for the base roster to battle against. DLC kind of takes over a little bit. Who's good is good. They'll stay. Whoever kind of falls off, they fall off. And then, you kind of reach like a full circle period. And I think we're kind of reaching out right now. We're seeing it in the community that, Leo plays Byleth, which is still technically a DLC character, not comprised of the same ingredients that some of the other ones are, like no weird meter, no weird stuff like that. Tweak has been playing Diddy Kong. That's his favorite Nintendo character, I believe. And we're starting to see them do damage again. So there's been a lot of clamoring and a lot of chatter about, like, man, is Ultimate still worth watching? What's up? I think when you see two performances like that, you get shades of 2018, 2019, some of that early Ultimate where, like, boom, we're here again. So don't leave. Like, y'all just got to stay and just wait and see what happens. And on the topic of that as well, too, a lot of great things happening with the ranking system. Now, I'm just going to actually pull up the top 24 right now. Of course, Leo's leading the charge with 3,625 votes, or points, excuse me. Shortly after him, there's Sonic's 2,835, Aklos 2,770. So that's the top three right there. Kamame, who had a really great performance as well just over the weekend, he plays Sora and Mega Man. He actually got upsetted in losers, by a talented player. And actually had one of the longest losers runs in Smash history. Had to play through, basically 2.5 days of just grueling agony. Ended up actually qualifying, I believe. This tournament put him over. Yes, this tournament put him over. And he is now in the 23rd spot to qualify. There are a couple players after him, predominantly all Japanese, who just need a few more points in order for us to see them in December next month. So, yeah, there are the Smash World Tour rankings. I'll be honest, I think VG's a little quiet when it comes to sharing the stat system. I think, Capcom and some of the other companies share, and they make it very public where everybody's sitting at. I have to go on Liquipedia to find what's going on in the Smash World Tour. But this is still really good. I still think, Port Party was an awesome event, and it did some really great things for the culture. Now, Danny, we got to talk the bad news, though, bro. The bad news is the bad news, and we can't ignore this. It is
definitely not
the best Game & Watch player in the world, who is qualified for the Smash World Tour in the 9th spot, unfortunately was turned away by the venue security. Now, I'm saying venue security, and I'm differentiating that from the event security, because the venue security, with this being a casino, we know how casino venues are. They're just like, yo, we got to make sure ain't no kids in here. We got to make sure you ain't bringing no outside fun into our stylized, whack-ass fun here with these damn casino machines. Like, all of that. Meister pulls up, and he shows him his Mexican ID. He say, yo, bro, boom. Guy at the door giving him hella shit about it. Yo, man, I don't recognize his ID. I'm not rocking with this, bro. There's a good chance you probably ain't coming in. Meister's on Twitter pleading for help. Now, Port Priority staff, they're like, that's the least of their concerns. Not, the fact that Meister's being turned away, but like they are expecting venue security to be able to handle people with care and ease. So they're handling TOing and running things. He's tweeting, hey, can somebody come to the front? Can somebody help me out? By the time staff actually gets there, I think the damage has already been done. So apparently there's an exchange of words. Meister is now like, hey, bro, I'm letting you know how exactly I feel. And the security guard or guards ends up telling him, we don't want you here. We don't take outsiders. And I'm like, I feel like Drewski right now, bro. Like, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that, bro? So I think we all know what he meant by that. And so Meister, unfortunately, was banned from the venue for one whole day. Unfortunately, the day that you have to play pools, he missed everything, wasn't able to play. So he did pull up the next day, did a couple interviews, chit-chatted with the community. But that day that he needed to play just got obliterated. So absolutely disgusting behavior. I believe the Port Priority staff just put out a statement about it.
I'll pull that up here in a second.
Yeah. And some people feel like, they were a little late to the punch with the statement. I think there are some situations where, of course, you have to be very quick with the statement. And then other situations where it's like, well, I got to make sure, I'm not just seeing all angles because there is only one angle for this. But we still also have an event to run. And this kind of sucks. Like, I can't go in on the venue too much because I still got to make sure I get these bills paid and do my thing. So, again, disgusting behavior by the Muckleshoot Casino. If you guys ever go back and watch this Muckleshoot, y'all should be ashamed of yourself the way you handle Meister, the way you put the TOs and the staff in a compromising position. That just is disgusting. You guys deserve nothing. Okay, don't ever treat people like that.
Basically, I have to agree. They deserve nothing, and I think that from the statement here from Port Priority and the team, it looks like that they also agree with that. They mentioned here after discussions with the player and his management team, we have compensated Luminosity and Meister for the incident with the casino security. Our event will never return to the Muckleshoot Casino. So, looks like the bridge is burned there because of some shitty security staff. But hey, I wonder if the casino side of things, what they think or care about in this scenario. Or if this were to get picked up big enough, if they would have any kind of conversation. Because clearly, if you're saying that this casually, then most likely this isn't the only time it's happened at that location at all. But yeah, it looks like they have put up different ways to support the event, it looks like, I guess, for future plans next year. But they don't plan on being at this location again after what went down.
And they better not come back.
I believe Meister also had some stuff on that end too. When she said huge shout outs to Port Priority for this, especially Euromite, who went to see me immediately after it happened at night the first day and talked with me for this and more as well as the agreement. The support I received was amazing. I can't thank you all enough. So I guess that they made things right with him on that end in terms of both compensation and other solutions on that end. But he also says they tried finding plenty of solutions for this, and I know it definitely wasn't easy to find the best one on firsthand. So at least there was some immediate reaching out and stuff like that going down between the organizers and everything else there, like you mentioned.
I think when things like this happen, and they hit social media has a think speed and not need sort of mentality. Like, they think, okay, well, this horrible thing has happened to this person who put out this tweet and nobody's doing anything about it. So, of course, we got to raise hell about it. And I think they're half right. You definitely should raise hell about it, of course, if the story plays out the way it's supposed, like how this one did, definitely raises much hell. And I think the community did a very good job of finding the Twitter account for the Muckleshoot Casino and just absolutely going in. I think they even did the whole Yelp thing where they're leaving them horrible reviews. It's bad. But there was also talk that, they felt like staff didn't handle it quick enough. And I want people to know that just because something's not happening on the internet, in the URL doesn't mean that people aren't making plays in the IRL. And I think Gyromite and his team certainly did that, bro. Not even the fact that Meister's the best player in the world or best Game & Watch player in the world. Jaro might would have handled anybody who had anything to do, probably not even with his event, probably in the generalized vicinity. He's just that type of guy where like he'll call out cultural inaccuracies when he sees them. And he zeroed in immediately on the situation. I will say firsthand that of all the TOs, I think that, you know, he was certainly the one running around with his running around like a chicken with his head cut off the most this weekend. He was doing a million things at once. So I'm glad he was able to sit down and then release his statement once, you know, tempers came back down again. So big shout out, of course, to the staff and Port Priority. I hate that they can't just get a clean event to themselves. There's always some bullshit that goes down. But I will say, bro, the Muckleshoot security, they were kind of weird, bro. They were really, really weird. Like, they kind of had like this playful, like, almost like, bro, if you go to Disneyland or Disney World, like everybody, like the staff is very bantery and they want to talk with you and whatever. Like now at Disney, I like that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the most magical place on earth.
It's a different vibe in a casino.
Yeah, casino though, like the staff and they were just like, hey, what's going on? They're just kind of in your face and they want to talk to you. And they were almost like a little snarky with some of the people who were there. Like, oh, are you here to win? Are you here to play? Did you win yet? Like, the term is not over, lady. Like, you clearly see a room full of 800,000 people. You know nobody won. Like, just really weird behavior. So, you know, again, Muckleshoot, y'all need to eat shit. Y'all were horrible for that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Had to be something that goes down like that at the event, but you know, I do that just the way that things were handled does show that there's ways to do things, and it's not like you said always going to be something that goes down in public first, because ultimately they cared about the player, and so that was more of an emphasis than putting out something for social media to see. Before figuring out what they want to do about it and actually talking to them about the best solutions for the scenario in the first place, instead of just doling out something quickly and then, you know, not actually following through with them. So, you know, I think that this is it's good to know that at least he feels like things have been handled as best they could be on their end, and they're moving on from this location. So, good for them.
Yeah, big shout outs to them. Now, again, on the topic of the Smash World Tour and just there being too many tournaments, there's another tournament that was on the World Tour, but UFA exists in its own universe. Okay, this is traditionally a fighting game event at first, and Smash just happens to be there done at the professional level. So, UFA, of course, happened over across the pond in France, and I actually have the event hubs here pulled up that I forgot to link down here. I'm going to just link it really quick for you because some of our favorite people were there, like I believe Cuddlecore was there in Tekken. We'll talk about, you know, her results and stuff and so on and so forth. So, first and foremost, the breakout story, bro, is that we have a 16-year-old Ed main by the name of Ending Walker. He won Street Fighter V at UFA, bro. Isn't that such a beautiful thing to see? 6 is on the horizon, and we got 16-year-olds setting the foundation for what we need to see.
Yeah, it's definitely big moves for sure. I like the fact that, like, because I did get to watch a bit of Top 8, and Ending Walker, Ed main, but also it gives me like some slight smug vibes. Like the way he was playing on the, because Ed is, you know, a boxing style character, and I believe Ending Walker is from like the UK. So, you know, another tie in the Dudley over there, but Dudley's not in 5, so Ed's going to be the closest you get in the meantime. But it was really interesting just kind of watching his play style throughout the event. But yeah, it's you got to be spot on for solid Ed play in general. But just seeing the way it went down, pretty impressive. Obviously, of course, 16, but I think that also shows you kind of how early a lot of these kids can get down the kind of reaction speed and like the reflexes to be able to pull off some of this stuff. And once you're kind of in there, like the sky's the limit. There's so much time and growth after that you see people that have been playing forever, like Ryan Hart and such, that really pull it on. So yeah, this is pretty impressive.
Yeah, this was a beautiful thing to see. It definitely made the teacher inside me super duper happy to see. Like, again, another narrative we talk about so much. The beautiful thing about the fighting game community is that yes, there's a new game coming out. That doesn't mean we need to let up and ease up on, us showing up to brackets. No, this means that we want to play twice as hard because we want to be the final champion of this game and firmly cement ourselves in history. Like MKLeo is the only Smash Ultimate Champion at Evo and the only one there will ever be. So it's a good thing that he won that. Now, ending Walker, looks like he played against Valmaster and Grand Tier according to Event Hubs. Now I'm looking at the characters that they played. Now I played Street Fighter 5 for a little bit. Actually, I played Ed. Now that was back when Ed, if I'm not mistaken, when he first came out, was kind of booty. Don't know if he's any better now. Could be an ending Walker thing. It could be an Ed thing. But he went against a Chung Lee player / Monat player. Now, Denny, correct me if I'm wrong, but those are two very long range characters, and some of Ed's moves are kind of stubby, bro. So how did he pull this type of shit off?
I mean, it's all about control. Like you have to be able to both control on the screen. I mean, Chun Li's got options, across the board, but at the same time, when it comes to like patience, there's a lot more going on there that you may not be able to necessarily get down unless you're used to being able to pressure folks to have setup time. Charge character is always going to need some of that, but a character like Manat, she's going to have different range options, but she's squishier, and also it's a little bit harder for her to get out of situations when it comes to corner pressure and stuff like that. So I feel like just watching the play style, he was really good at being able to read when there's going to be just the wrong move coming out and using that to their advantage to the pressure people into the corner or corner situations where they have to either try and jump out or push a button. And when that does happen, I mean, Ed can do the damage. So it was like EX like forward uppercuts that he does or whatever, or just they're strong. They're real strong. You gotta be careful throwing those out there. But at the same time, it's just I'm kind of curious. It's funny because you see like Lucas coming back for 6, and it's like Ed was kind of like a mixed bag, but now he's getting a lot more love. More recently in the past year or so, where I feel like because apparently like this kid's like touting himself as the number one Ed in Europe right now, as a Street Fighter warlord. So I don't know if that's the online rank that he's talking about there, but my man just putting in that work on the online streets apparently, you know. But I mean, at the same time, he probably has plenty of time for that without having to hold down a full time job or anything. He's got to worry about school, class, and come back home and beat up on people. But still, that's still pretty hype. That to see this on such a major scale. The crowd was definitely pretty deep. The presentation in general, I think, was pretty hype for the event. It looked like with just like the spotlights and stuff like that. So I hope that the hype stays through for the rest of the year until we get some more information about when Street Fighter 6 is dropping. I'm still holding out hope that we'll see maybe another beta or something like that either at the start of the year or at the end of this year for 6, but in the meantime, I am enjoying seeing the high level play with 5. Folks just using things, and I think the main reason why 5 gets a lot more slack in different ways is just because when it came to Street Fighter 4, people's playstyles you could see so much more in their gameplay. 5 in itself is people have been able to expand a bit more now and get more out of characters, but it was a whole different level when it came to gameplay and playstyle in Street Fighter 4 and such, because you knew who was playing a certain character a certain way, and just like the way they would put their own kind of spin on the character, you'd be like, oh, this is clearly like Justin playing Rose this time and not Filipino Man, or this is Ryan Hart playing Sagat or something. Like you could tell who was playing just by watching the matches. Right, I feel like that's something that is missing a bit more in 5 because there's not as much freedom to be able to just kind of play your style of game as much in some of those ways. You see people like Daigo who was playing like Ryu and Evil Ryu in 4, and now they're rocking Guile. Like it's because they couldn't get the kind of freedom they wanted from the Ryu in 5 on that level to kind of deal with all of the matchups. So I think the way that things have been leaning in 6, it seems like people are more open to having the character freedom and also making that something to be proud of moving forward. So I'm glad to see that side of Street Fighter back. And there seemed to be some solid play here. But once again, you saw, Punk is also in that top list. So he's definitely racking it up as we lead into the new game.
Yeah, he is. And also you said most notably that that young man kind of rose up through the online ranks, and I think that's starting to become more prevalent. I mean, we've always talked about the importance of online and try to cater to people who can't pull up to tournaments. I think Capcom does a pretty good job of doing their online thing and kind of giving people a similar feel to what you'd probably expect, like some sort of Capcom sanctioned event. But I'm starting to see this across all boards in fighting games, where like the story always starts with this young player came from some other format that we aren't used to and is getting the same sort of practice, the same sort of matchup knowledge that we would get. Whether it's like they came up through the collegiate format or they came up, through the online format, it's starting to be a thing. I'm seeing it a lot more in Smash as well. For like that pandemic time, like that time to really grind online when all we had was just the internet, they must have kicked it up a notch. It was like, well, we already comfortable in this environment. Now we're playing top players who only want to play offline online. I'm getting extra practice. Let's get it. And it seems like he's kind of doing that too. Now, this isn't to take away from his skill. I don't know exactly how many offline tournaments he's played, but bro, 16 years old at UFA, I seen the production for this event. This looked like the damn Super Bowl. Like, you're going to be
Yeah,
the big man on campus when you go back to school on Monday.
yeah, for sure. I mean, as you can see, um, yeah, like major stage, the lighting. Like I saw like the walking away after the match. I'm like, is this looking like a Hollywood red carpet here? What's going on? Like the way it was lit up and everything else down there, it was very, very dramatic, but in a good way, you know. And at the end of the day, one of the things that I love about fighting games in general is that it's not a team sport. This is
Mm,
you get that W and you get to stand up there alone, you know, in that number one spot. No one can deny that from you at that point because you won. Like there's not going to be any kind of conversation happening about how I did this or that or whatever. 'Cause at the end of the day, everyone had opportunity here, and regardless of how many people were in this tournament, and you're looking at top eight, with some solid names in here like Phenom, Big Bird. These folks pulled up for the event, and at the end of the day, my man's won. So
yep,
he could go off, gotta get ready for finals. Whatever's going down for the next, for the rest of the year. Come back
that's
for Street
right.
Fighter Six and start putting in work, and they'll be like, hey, this is so and so who won at the tournament, and he's already got that kind of prestige there. Moving forward as we lead into a new game, so who knows? I mean, maybe he might have that kind of time, as real life kind of catches up. But as of right now, he's a Street Fighter champion.
He
It's
is. He's a
it's
Street
a it's
Fighter
a
champion,
it's
bro.
a big title right there. A game that has the kind of prestige to it is pretty
Yeah.
dope. So shout outs to him.
Now, there were other champions at this event as well. I
Mm.
believe there were other games, of course. We had, of course, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I won't harp too much on this because I know we just covered a bit of Smash already, but we had T, who is the best Pac Man player in the world and also one of the best Kazuya Mishima mains out there in Smash. Actually ended up taking it over Gluttony, the best warrior in the world, and arguably top five ish still right now, somewhere between three and five. Um, I think the biggest takeaway is Hikaru, who is a Donkey Kong player. He actually sent Gluttony to losers, and it looks like Gluto ended up getting his run back because Gluto got second, Hikaru got third. The VCA Vienna Challenger Arena champion Bloom Forever ended up getting fourth. So nice to see them still in the mix, rocking Bayonetta and Joker. Jake, the Steve main, ended up getting fifth. Siski, the Dark Samus, and Snake main, fifth place. Raffalo and Space ended up both tying for seventh. Now, let's jump down over here to Tekken, where we had Cuddlecore. That's right, everybody's favorite Tekken player here at Shacknews. That's right.
Cuddles.
Came through with the second place. Gotten with Elisa Boskanovich and Xiao Yu. So I'm not surprised that was her lineup. She kicks plenty of ass. Ended up only getting second place to a player named Osan, who played Kazumi and Bob. Did you get a chance to see any of that?
I didn't get to catch the Tekken side of things, but I did see some of the posts on Cuddle's side after your event, and yeah, it seemed like she has definitely been putting in the work. She's also mentioned before that she wanted to kind of bounce back after feeling like she could have played better at the last event a couple weeks ago. So I think that's really kind of been sitting on her mind a bit more there. So she kind of came into this one with a lot of emphasis on just playing solid. And it seems that paid off. Obviously, she didn't take home first this time around, but second's not bad at any standard there, especially when you're
No.
traveling overseas and such and getting it in. But yeah, it sounds like she's really both focusing on both fundamental side of things and also just sharpening up her game and working through with her teammates and other people as well to kind of get to that next level where she wants to be moving forward here. Which I mean, people kind of don't think about how much mental fortitude it takes to kind of stay on top of things throughout a tournament circuit, a tournament scene. Leading through the past couple events and then eventually making your way to your World Cups and such. But it is a lot. Obviously Tekken's not putting on the same amount of events as Smash or something like that, but there's still a lot of fierce competition, and in a lot of situations you might be dealing with people who you haven't been in pools with or played with or played against in several months, depending on different layouts for some of these events. So a lot can happen. On top of just having some real crucial games sometimes, which I see some of that happening too, especially more so on Tekken. I think sometimes you might see in other games, just because of how quickly things can turn in a Tekken match.
That's
And
right.
then when someone kind of feels like they got the momentum on you, they can steamroll to some extent, and then you have to kind of bounce back from you know multiple rounds of that or loss to kind of make your way back into it again. So yeah, shout outs to Cuddles for putting it through, but it sounded like it was a pretty competitive event.
Yeah, I think it takes a lot to juggle a lot of those factors going against you, going all the way over to France. And I'm saying that as somebody who's watched a lot of people from France and other parts of the world come over to America and have to play against their body clock and their
Mm-hmm.
typical eat schedule and all that stuff. And, just using Cuddlecore for an example, just because she's the only one I've ever really spoke to about this, she's doing a lot of content creation, a lot of speaking. I mean, there's some things she pulls up to her. She doesn't even play. She's just a speaker because she just advocates for so much more.
Mm-hmm.
And, having to do all of that plus still perform because that's what, kind of puts you in this position that you're in. It's a lot. So to get second after all that, pretty damn good, man. You go, girl. And last
Yeah, for
story now, this
sure.
I just want to touch on Dragon Ball Fighters really quick. Just looking at the results, looks like we got Zane at first place, Wade in second place, Wade rocking Lab Coat 21 hit and Janemba. Obi Assassin rocking Lab Coat 21 hit and Android 16, a little blast from the past right there. Then we got a name that I haven't really been paying much attention to as of late, but it's still a threat. Goichi, that's
Yeah.
right, rocks Blue Gogeta, Vegito, and of course Lab Coat 21. So big shout out to Dragon Ball Fighters as well too. This is a game that I wish was just handled a little differently at launch and somewhere in the middle. I think this game is very beautiful to watch and to commentate, but I get why people had their issues with it. But I'm happy to say that the community is still doing the damn thing at UFA.
I mean, even if you had issues with Dragon Ball Fighters, it had a massive year. Like, I mean, that game was pulling
Mm-hmm.
up the entry numbers were crazy. Like, I remember that Combo Breaker after release was like it was gonna be like Marvel 3 vibes, like the pullout for that. They had auction tournaments going down. It was things were getting crazy. So I feel like the amount of money they made on that game. I don't know what's going down as far as like future plans, but that dropped in like 2018, in like early
Mm-hmm.
2018. I want to say that was like January or February. And Dragon
Yeah.
Ball Fighters dropped. So if ever there was a time to like start rolling out another one, like I feel like in the next year or two, that could still make some solid waves, especially if you actually listen to the community as far as like the changes and stuff that they want to see in the next game. And you've had other things go down, since then, on the anime and story side.
Mm-hmm.
There could be a major impact there, especially with the amount of like stuff that we've seen go down and like how much Guilty Gear has made things more accessible in different ways, of how they approach things, and then the netcode side of things, and just if Dragon Ball were to actually have the solid kind of net play that people want, it could be this clock could be the limit on that, especially considering like how good the game looks, and then now having next gen consoles available. There's a lot of things you could do in a year or two. with enough
Yeah.
time and effort to put into that. And there's nothing to say that they haven't been working on their game. We just don't know yet. There are events coming up like the Game Awards and such. Who knows? So they might come out there. We might have an even more stacked fighting game year coming up, depending on if there's more news coming down there. But Bob, I just wanted to show this picture of they had all the champions on stage after the end of the event. And
Okay.
as you can see, it's looking like you would think this was like a red carpet or like I'm gonna see some models walk down down the runway. The way it's set up in here, like it is like the actual event's looking pretty premiere like right there. Like it's pretty snazzy. So yeah, production wise, it definitely came across on the streams and stuff and such too. But I was pretty impressed. And they had like photos of what it looked like before they did set up. I'm trying to see if I can find one, but I was like, man, I don't know anything about this venue, but bruh, it's basically like, oh yeah, here's one right here. It looks like
Okay.
you had this giant wood floor, and it just endless hall of just like just flowing here for the
Oh my
UFA.
God. Holy shit.
So they had a whole production side in here of like your stage setups and everything else there. But yeah, massive. So yeah, shout out to everybody who pulled up, but also you had your 16-year-old boy pull up and win on this major stage and what looked like a packed house. So pretty impressive.
Wow. That's pretty goddamn amazing, man. Big shout out to UFA. There's so many tournaments that I feel like because I'm in the Smash community, I completely space on, but there's like events that are just predominantly fighting game focused that deserve just as much of our attention, or if not more, because the FGC has better relationships with other companies that will be down to come out and help make the event everything that it can be. So TOs that are out there watching, listen to this, will watch what they did over there at UFA, man. That was a great combination of people. Like I think Yipes was there. Cuddlecore is also there as well. Mono, the guy in charge of First Attack over in Puerto Rico, he's still competing. He got third just last weekend in DR. I'm sure he did his absolute damnedest to do well out there as well. So yeah, y'all got to tap in and check it out, man. Big things happening. Now, that was the fighting game community. There's big things happening over in the world of shooters. Now, we had the Intel Extreme Masters Rio. We covered a bit of this a few weeks or either months ago because it had, like, I think it was the $1 million prize pool, and that they were anticipating it breaking viewership records because this series of events had already broken a previous record, if I'm not mistaken. But I have the Liquipedia linked in the run of show here, and the numbers for this were absolutely astronomical. But from what I was reading, the actual most viewed part of this tournament wasn't even grand finals, which I think is absolutely insane, Denny. Like, I don't know if you had a chance to watch this. I didn't. I was tied up, obviously, out here, but bro,
Yeah, I didn't get to catch
esports
it because of the
breaking
time it
records,
was
bro.
on. The time difference at the time. But even that being said, the fact that it was pulling the viewership numbers there, outside of the American time zone emphasis is still pretty. It's in itself is impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Again, esports global. It is not just the U.S. running things when it comes to a lot of these games, and that's what I like about it. Obviously, you get your different organizations and events and stuff like that stateside, but stuff like CS:GO and these other shooters, hey, it is open and fair game across borders, and they pulled up for this one. I'm gonna pull up the numbers here like he had before in a second, but let's see esports charts. Yeah,
Yeah.
peaked at
Oh my god.
1.38 million viewers.
Oh. Oh.
You
Oh.
know, which is, I mean, you're pulling better numbers than TV here. Like there are shows not getting that kind of viewership at peak right now that are getting prime time slots. So that should tell you something right there. Between Natas Vincieri and Furia was the most popular match of the event. Grand finals peak 1.14 million, which like you mentioned before, the peak was not during grand finals, but who knows? That could have been a mixture of things because obviously that's going to be later in the day than earlier events and such. But still, that is a wild number for this event, and this is for CS:GO.
Let's go,
Like
bro.
CS:GO. I mean,
CS:GO.
a game that is only available to play on PC and such for the most part. You know, I just there's a lot of range here on the esports side. I feel like that people kind of forget about the scale, especially for long term established games. You know, we saw a drop off of games like, you know, Overwatch and such after making switches on platforms and seeing how much that, you know, hurt them on the viewership end. But when a game is hot and it has both a global player base, but also a well established, you know, platform and unit of, you know, play and stuff like that,
Sure.
the numbers can be astronomical. And something that's so well established as CS:GO, where you know both the skill level and skill cap, ESL and everything else involved there, being what it is, you're seeing that pay off in this way. I'm not sure how far it goes as far as sponsors and advertising and stuff like that down the line, but I'm sure they're going to probably look at those kind of things moving into the next year of esports after seeing these kind of numbers go through,
Yeah.
for sure.
It's just, bro, it's beautiful to see, bro. I'm glad you brought that up. Like, we're breaking records. There are TV shows out there, stream shows. I'm talking stream TV shows too, as well, like on Netflix, where like those numbers are a little bit harder to gauge. That don't even get this type of viewership, man. And yeah, you said the most viewed match wasn't even grand finals. It was, you said it was Furia and who again? Oh, not Navi and Furia, which peaked at 1.14 million viewers, which is crazy. Now, just to give a quick recap of the top eight of this, I believe Outsiders won this and they got 4,000 Blast Premier points and they qualified for finals as well. They took home $500,000. That's right, friends. Second place went to Team Heroic. They got 2,000 points, $170,000, of course. And then last but certainly not least, through third and fourth tied is Team Moe's and Team Furia, which we just talked about before. That was $80,000 and 1,250 premier points. And then through fifth through eighth, right here, it was Cloud9, Team Fnatic, who's had a really great showing in other esports, Team Spear, and then Natus Vencer. They were the fifth through eighth, and 375 points between all of them, and they all took home a piece, $45,000, which is like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, at this point, bro, like, who cares where I place? I'm taking home some bands, bro. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just looking at that play out the way it is, that is pretty impressive. But you know, to put this in context, because keep in mind that these are peak numbers for the event here, but at the
Sure.
same time, it's not the highest peak. There have been other, you know, events and other you know, setups for CS:GO, and they've actually done higher numbers. So there are higher things out there for different events that have played through. I want to say there was one earlier in the year that broke 2 billion,
Sure.
um, and then maybe one next year. I think I had a link somewhere in here. Yeah, I think this is it here. I posted on this end. Uh, yeah. Uh, oh, I think you might have already had it in here.
Oh, yeah, I think I did too. I think I may have thrown it in there already. The esports charts, right?
Yeah, like you can see here in the chart end, they had a PGL Major Stockholm in 2021, reaching 2.75 million uh, peak on that end, and then 2.1 million earlier this year at the PGL Major. So these numbers are definitely, they may be lower compared to some of the other events in the past. I think I kind of remember the E League in 2018
Mhm.
because there was some drama that went down around that time. But still, pretty impressive, both in terms of the scale of viewership, but also because of location and everything else going down there. It's fairly impressive with the setup there. But this is all just the overall viewership for day one. So it looks like with the peak being what it was, they peaked on that first day. That was more so what got things into, you know, some wild numbers because of how long the tournaments are.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm used to, you know, FGC type of events, in which case sure, games going on all day, but they're different games. You got your different, your Tekkens, your Street Fighters, your Mortal Kombat and such, going on all around the venue and different pools set up and those kind of things. This is straight up CS:GO, and it's going for 16 plus hours or so per day.
Mm-hmm.
So with the average viewership on the first day, it says here peaked at 745,304 viewers, and it held an average of 457,000 viewers. So that means that we're talking almost 500,000 people watching this thing on average during the entire 15-hour airtime for just day one. So, I mean, if I'm an advertiser and
Uh, bro,
you're pulling in 500,000 people watching on average, for a 15-hour period, those kind of numbers, I'm going to be making some phone calls.
that is facts, bro. Are you kidding me? Like that is real money. That's real eyes right there, man. I mean, bro, there's times where like I feel like, damn, bro, like esports, we can't break the mold, we can't do certain things, but there's still like old formats, traditional ways that things are done that are still pushing the envelope. Now, I know like obviously this one didn't get as many as many viewers as some of the ones before, but still, bro, in this like current economy, we're in Rio as well too, bro.
Mm-hmm.
1.3 million, $1 million prize pool, bro. My first thought is like, how do we get that shit over to the FGC, bro? Like, bro, 1.3 million in viewership for Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 6. Come on, bro. Like, this shit can be, it could go global, but no, I mean, all jokes aside, on the topic of CS:GO, like this is certainly a beautiful thing to see, especially given the circumstances of the game. You can only play this on PC. Usually, we see numbers or similar to this on games where everybody can play. Like it's on every console, mobile, you name it. This is just a PC-based game, and it did this. This is crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot. There can be some levels of gatekeeping in the CS:GO to a certain extent because it is kind of
Mm,
seen as like that tier of competitive, shooter with technical emphasis on things, both on, it's just one of those games that are, is original for having the mouse and keyboard layout, and everyone having their sensitivity and all that other stuff set up, and you know, gaming mouses and such to be able to play and keep up with things in a way that it's just been around forever. It feels like even
mm,
back in like the Team Fortress days and such. So uh, that in itself leads to it being kind of seen or held in that regard as a high ranked shooter, but also just the amount of skill and versatility when it comes to actually playing it at a high level on team side. So I think that definitely makes people also see it in a different light, kind of more so than you might see some of the games that are out now that are still somewhat new or fresh in different ways, like your Apex and stuff like that, that also have different
mhm.
tournaments and events that go down, but it doesn't have that same long staying power yet as a CS:GO. So who knows? Epic has plenty of money to throw around, and some of the other companies,
Bro,
in different ways. EA obviously spend money on tons of things, both in good and bad, Madden. But there's definitely other things out there that you might see some changes in. So I am curious to kind of see what game starts to tilt that kind of number. We will have Call of Duty and that whole tournament side of things kind of blowing up as well with Modern Warfare 2 and stuff like that in the near future. But I want to see kind of where the numbers end up falling, both on the prize side, but also on the viewership side with the new game. So we'll definitely keep an eye on the shooters and such as we move through the holiday season. I'm sure a lot more people will be picking that up for their brother or kids and other things over Christmas time, Black Friday and such. Because if it's one thing that always happens, a Call of Duty game's going to go on sale, and it's just going to see a lot more people online with some obtuse usernames, I'm sure. But
that is facts,
there is,
bro.
yeah, there's going to be a lot going on there. But yeah, I think it's a good time for us to take a little small break just to do some plug here and keep the lights on.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir, bro. Go ahead and break it down for me, Denny. Tell him what's goody over here at Shack News.
yeah, I mean, if you're enjoying what you're seeing here, you can take some time out to maybe check out Shacknews.com. It's the reason for the season, and we've got plenty of awesome content there, plenty of amazing news and reviews. We have some pretty solid things dropping. We'll have all of the new things coming out too for you. You know, God of War just dropped. We got an awesome review by Sam Chandler there, and all the guys. If you're stuck on something, he's got it for you. Pokemon is also dropping pretty soon. We'll have plenty of content from that too, pulling up, talk about. We also got some new content for Rumbleverses. You know, if you enjoy Rumbleverse and you're into the wrestling action, we got some new stuff over there for that too. Also, there's you know, my side of things, the social media. If you are on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, we are available on all of those. Even though Twitter's kind of turning into a little bit of a Titanic situation right now, there is a chance that you know we make it out on the other side. And if so,
Mm.
you can hang out with me and see some awesome tweets and content. You know, over on the Shacknews Twitter account and Instagram. Get him on to pulling up some reels and such with that. You know, Ronnie's got some other stuff going down. You know, with retail therapy and the buds over there. But he had some fun with Pokemon recently in the Pokemon cards. And I'll be putting up some more highlights from that too pretty soon. And there's also YouTube, where you can see a ton of different content that we put through on the interwebs. I have personally really enjoyed watching some of the Sonic content we put up recently from Sonic Frontiers, which Morgan reviewed for us. But there's plenty of awesome content there that you can check out too. And
Yeah, you already know. You already know, bro. And also, last but certainly not least, we got Shaq Pets, bro. The ultimate battle for cuteness. That's right. You guys heard me, right? Okay, I said that correctly. The ultimate battle for cuteness. All you need to do is head on over to your smartphone store, whether you have an Apple phone or an Android phone, doesn't matter. It exists on both. And what essentially happens is you take your little cute animal, your precious fur baby, and you put them against somebody else's cute fur baby. It's almost like Pokemon minus the actual physical battle itself. And we get to pick and choose who's cutest. See, and it's simple, man. It's good because with all the crazy stuff going on social media, like Denny said, like on Twitter, we need a break from the norm. We need a break from the monotony. All we need to do is just download Shack Pets and just get to scrolling. This is good scrolling, not like Tinder and Bumble. This is good scrolling and swiping that would actually help your mental and make you happier emotionally. So go ahead and download that game. Free to play. That's right. Free. We like free over here at Shacknews. Trust me.
yeah,
Go ahead and check that out, my friends. Pull up.
yeah, for sure. You know, I saw a fish on Shack Pets today. So you know,
Damn.
if you don't have a fur baby, but you got a different kind of baby, look, you can still pull up on Shack Pets and get that in.
Man, we got something for everybody, man. As long as it's an animal, all right, we got you. All right, now, really quick here, I want to talk about Fortnite. Now, we talked about, the whole concept of games like breaking records and doing all types of stuff in the shooting genre.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes Fortnite gets forgotten about just because of the competitive nature of the game, but we can't ignore the fact that it has broken some pretty good records. Now, they are talking about some rumors here for season 4. Season 3 should be wrapping up sometime in the middle of next month. And according to HypeX, we have 5 major leak things that will most likely release in Fortnite's Chapter 4 this December 3rd, or throughout Season 1. The Unreal editor for Fortnite, new cosmetic types, codename apparel, rideable flying animals, can't beat that. A first-person mode, that's my biggest takeaway. And then, of course, last but not least, the motorcycles. But a first-person mode, is that going to change the game, Denny? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there is a few things if you combine some of these things together, like the idea of an Unreal Editor for Fortnite and first person mode coming together. There's a lot of versatility there that could be a lot of fun. If you're able to recreate some similar effects of some of the other games out there, obviously being Shacknews, we have a lot of love for your Quakes and such, Dooms and those kind of things. But you can do a lot with the assets that they have in Fortnite, especially in no build mode. Like you build some pretty fun stuff. I haven't touched Halo 1 forever. It feels like, but if you could give me some, a map that feels more like that, that's actually fun to play, I'd be into it. First person would definitely be something that I think that people would be really into. Just I have to give credit to Epic in that way that they do make sure that they find new ways for people to play, and they give enough content and enough reasons for people to make it their main reason to play eventually. So if you're not into build mode and stuff like that on Fortnite anymore, as old as the game is now at this point, they had no build mode for people, and it turned into an entire different community that has really fleshed out playing that regularly. So having first mode options could lead to some other things there. And if you have a pretty versatile Unreal editor option for Fortnite as well, that could also turn into something massive depending on what you're able to do in game. Just look at
Mm-hmm.
how things have evolved for GTA. When they opened up the
Mm.
opportunity to kind of
Mm.
host your own servers and having control of those kind of things and creating your own kind of maps and that kind of stuff. Epic has the range and the ability to kind of build on that to make Fortnite into something that's going to be around forever.
Mhm. Yeah, they definitely have that, man. And I think for a game as innovative as Fortnite, it's nice to put the game back into the players' hands. And that's not to say that they haven't done that before. I think they've done a pretty good job for the most part, like listening to what people want in Fortnite, and also maybe showing you things that you didn't know you wanted, like I don't know, Wakanda Forever skins and Doctor Strange skins and Star Wars stuff. Like all that stuff is really amazing, but I think there's still a level of like creativity that might be missing a little bit. And that's not to take a shot at the innovative standpoint of the game, like just the sheer nature of Fortnite itself is what kind of sets it apart from every other shooter, period, in that category. But I think like the ability to like custom things, giving us the no build mode is cool. That speaks to a very specific style of like shooter, arena gamer, like whatever they want to call themselves, whatever they want. But the ability to custom, like this tweet said here, like the cosmetic type, of course, we're bringing in the codename apparel, but the Unreal editor for Fortnite, I think, is huge. That and first person mode might actually change the game and put this game, dare I say, back on the map, or maybe not back on the map, but on the map in a different way. I think this.
Yeah,
I think what Fortnite wants is they want that competitive, like people are pulling up like CS:GO to play this. Like they might be a little confused, like why don't we have this? That first person mode might change it, bro.
yeah. There's definitely. I mean, the thing about Fortnite, like I mentioned, it's like they add on the things, but they flesh them out in a way that makes it enough for people to kind of make that their main way to play. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like with Fortnite kind of moving towards, this. I mean, again, this is just apparently leaks, so we don't have any confirmation on this yet. But I mean, if it moves into more of that creator aspect, it gives more emphasis for people to try out things and create content. And Fortnite's so tied to content creation now in a lot of different ways because you have so many different streamers, those kind of people that get in and they play a couple games and your traditional battle royale stuff. But if it turns into a situation where, like for example, I follow a lot of people that play your classic Resident Evils and stuff like that,
Mm.
where they play Resident Evil games that they've been around forever, and there's people that are constantly making mods for them. And each new mod that comes out, if it's a randomized mod, they have randomization mods for RE4 now, where they randomize every enemy in the game, and so you can
Mm-hmm.
start off with like hunters and trolls and stuff attacking you in the first area.
Yep.
People will play those mods for the first time, and then they put it up on YouTube, just saying, "Hey, RE4 so and so mod," and that's their entire content for the day, just playing through that mod or whatever. So the same thing can
Mm-hmm.
happen in this situation where if you have popular enough maps that they become, a big deal. People are playing through those, and that's the content for their stream that day. Or like, hey, we're gonna try a couple of these, and that kind of thing is, I think, where Fortnite is thriving a bit more between like their skins and content, costumes, those kind of things you can buy, but also just like the randomness of the things that happen in Fortnite. And then if you add in something like a map creator on top of that with some of the other stuff going down, it becomes a bigger mixture of what kind of content you're creating, both on the just regular casual side and also on the competitive side. So I think like if people enjoy watching Fortnite in first person, that becomes as big an emphasis as playing it as well to a certain extent
Mm-hmm.
because people are like you're getting a whole new perspective on this. Imagine like the first person building, like popping through and like having to build stuff in real time. You're jumping off of
Mm-hmm.
motorcycles and stuff. People are dropping down with you know lightsabers and all kind of stuff in your face. Like there could be all kind of things going down, and then it makes it really entertaining to watch in different ways. So that's where I think that you can see uh, them really kind of flesh out the creator side in a way that makes it interesting. In ways that
Yeah.
Apex and stuff like that may not have the same kind of pull right now because they're leaning more into we have our heroes the same way Overwatch does, and then there's the tie-ins there, but it's not the same level of like, hey, I can just hop on the Fortnite and play for free and get the same level of craziness out of it, from jump.
Yeah, there's definitely like a casual aspect to Fortnite that I think some of the other games are. And I don't want to say lacking because lacking implies that whatever they're doing isn't working, or that they're
Yeah,
looking for and they can't figure out why they don't have it. Like whatever it is that they're doing is definitely like working in their own regard. But there's a there's very much a certain reason why Fortnite has some numbers, has the audience that it does, and it is because of like the casual nature of the game. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to go ahead and agree with you, bro. Like everything you said was pretty much spot on. Like Fortnite, bro, could really. I mean, it's a lot. But I really feel like the game could be so much more. And maybe if these leaks are true, and I hate that it took a whole 4 chapters to get to this, but if these leaks are true, I mean, shit, we might. It might not just stop at Avengers Endgame for Thor playing Fortnite, bro. We might see him playing it in Thor 5. We might see this Avengers Secret Wars, all Secret Invasion, rather, and all of that, bro. Like, it's gonna get
yeah.
crazy.
It could be wild out here in these streets for sure. But I mean, I think that Fortnite, I think that that's one thing I have to give them a bit of credit for is that like, even though they completely basically abandoned save the world mode and that kind of stuff, they
Mm,
have ways to try and keep themselves relevant by basically implying or applying themselves in ways that other people haven't really attached their games to. Like
mm-hmm.
Fortnite is open to making those kind of expanses without messing up the core. They're like, hey, we'll just drop a new mode or whatever, a new play style, whatever. That's going to be around for a couple of weeks. We'll have a different event, like, or like, live celebrities coming on and, having full on concerts and such. Like, there's so much going on in Fortnite randomly that you don't see happening in other games. Even if you don't necessarily always agree with it, like, having the MLK thing go down in Fortnite and stuff like that. You're not seeing that in Apex. Like there's not going to be, any tribute to Malcolm X going down in the middle of like an Apex dogfight. That's not happening. But that kind of
That's
stuff,
right.
there's elements of Fortnite I think that are more part of the culture to a certain extent, just the gaming culture in general, that the other games haven't reached yet.
Mm,
And I think that doesn't mean that there's not opportunity to, but why try and fix something that's not broke? If Apex is making
true.
the kind of money it is and it's doing fine as it is, both competitively and financially, we don't have to try and fix the wheel when it's not broken. So
That's
Fortnite,
facts.
has more reason to stay relevant, by doing these kind of changes than I think some of the other companies might right now. But everything gets stale eventually, so we might see more reaching out from some of these other, competitors down the line. I mean, you can look at Call of Duty. Eventually, they came out with Warzone, and here we are, a couple of days away from Warzone 2.0 happening.
Mm,
And getting your battle royale on and that kind of stuff again. But that all started because Fortnite made it successful.
right. The game successful also through the certain platforms we were able to run this game at. In our esports rundown here, um, I think DreamHack has been very nice to Fortnite, or maybe I have that backwards. I don't know who's being nice with who, but I know that they both need each other for sure. Because DreamHack, of course, is a billion-dollar corporation, of course, starting from across the scene and coming over here. I think at the top of 2016 here in the states, and they're back in their San Diego location. I feel like they've been kind of dancing around. They've given us DreamHack Austin. We've done Dallas. We've done Montreal. We've done Denver. I did the only Denver event that they ever did. There's an Anaheim as well. There's Atlanta coming up just next weekend as well too. But San Diego has kind of piqued my interest because, as we know, bro, as nerds, a lot of good shit happens up in San Diego. So DreamHack San Diego is slated to go down here, according to Twitter.com, as reliable of a source this website has been. San Diego, DreamHack is coming. DreamHack San Diego, April 7th through 9th, 2023, Danny. The only thing I could ever think about is that there's going to be another Smash tournament attached to this damn thing. We're not going to get another week off. That's all I just seen, bro. What's your thoughts on DreamHack San Diego, bro?
Well, I mean, San Diego is the popping spot. Twitch also had TwitchCon, contractually set up for San Diego, probably the same venue. I want to say every fall. So it's glad that they had this set up. We were obviously had Jabali on the show at one point, and good peoples. There's been plenty of different things going down, but yeah, I think this is cool. I want to say that there's probably going to be like several other events running that same week, most likely, just based
Yeah,
off of how April is in general. I want to say that CTE2 here in Chicago might be going down that same week, just off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there'll be a solid lineup of different things you can get into, especially if, fingers crossed, we have, some of these games have release dates by then. Um, Maybe we'll see some pop ups there and such. But yeah,
Yeah,
good
you know
stuff.
that. I forgot about that. You're right. You're right, bro. I was being too mean. The big thing is that we're going to see more stops for Street Fighter Five or Street Fighter Six. Hopefully, like they've always done stuff at DreamHack. I know Tenno and Capcom Pro Tour and stuff. They've always like made it a
Hmm.
point to do stops here at these events, and there'll be more data. I just
Yeah,
know like how extensive DreamHacks are. Like, if there's one, there's probably six other ones happening in the states, and then there's going to be a billion more across the ponds, of course. But I just don't want Smash to get any ideas. Like, y'all need to, we need to stop. Don't get any. Let's just let Street Fighter and the gang have these next couple ones. We need some weeks off, okay? Sincerely, tired black man in the community. All right.
yeah. There's, I mean, I think that there's enough, obviously events, but there's also just enough range that maybe there's you don't need a Smash tourney at DreamHack with the amount of SGC based content. But also at the same time, if there's more of a side tournament type of vibe going down, then
Oh yeah.
that's fine. I mean, I just think that trying to put it into a major schedule might be a bit rough. DreamHack doesn't necessarily need the attendance or anything like that in that regard. But also, I wouldn't mind if this was like an opportunity for more of like an exhibition type of style thing,
Oh.
where like if we had it on the side as like something that's going down for people that might be interested in watching that kind of content. It doesn't have to be necessarily a full on tourney here to still be showcased. The same way they showcase that kind of stuff with the new games that are coming out. So that could still work. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I'm not opposed to there being different Shack based content, or not Shack, but Smash Post content, those kind of things, tournament
Mhm.
wise. But I think that like if people took more advantage of people wanting to see their favorite players perform and compete, than it just being a scenario where like an entire tournament event has to go down. Like
Mhm.
it's different when you're running pools. You have the organized pools, or you have people traveling and those kind of things, compared to like having a simple exhibition that still shows off the game and players and puts on some good Smash play and gives you everything that you want and want to watch uh, with just a decent amount of prize money involved. I think if there was more of that happening, then you could build it up in a different way than you would a full on tournament that's wide scale and has a lot more people involved. I like watching player interviews. I like watching folks talk about their thought process going into the matchups and those kind of things on a smaller scale when you have like a back and forth happening for people that know who they're going to be going up against, or if there's a
Mhm.
team based thing going down for like West Coast versus East Coast, they can strategize on who's going to go first in the lineup and that kind of stuff. Like those kind of things are still entertaining to watch. It doesn't have to necessarily always be, well, this is a major event happening in general, so we also need to have a major tournament here too.
Yeah, I'm with that. I think in order to pull off stuff like that, we just need storylines and narratives that we can certainly kind of coddle into fruition. The fighting game community certainly has that. I think, some of those types of formats that come to mind are like the Mortal Kombat, or yeah, the Mortal Kombat crew battle at Combo Breaker a couple years ago, and so on and so forth. Smash is kind of lacking out a little bit. As you know, we're a little tender in the trash talk department, and it's just kind of hard to do those exhibition style things. But hopefully, we can get something kind of brought up and done, because everybody likes a one-off format. Not just like this next topic here. Black Girl Gamers are doing something really, really good right here. And this type of format that they're doing, I would love to see more of in the community. Black Girl Gamers said, "We are back at it again. We're teaming up with Benefit Beauty to host our third Play Apex BGG only tournament. Cash prizes for first and second place. All participants will receive a gifted box of Benefit Cosmetics. Sign up link in the Discord and on Facebook." And it says Benefit and Black Girl Gaming, or Black Girl Gamers, excuse me, presents the 2022 women's tournament. First place gets $3,000. Second place gets a strong 500 as well. Saturday, December 3rd. This is just damn. Goddamn, we need more of this. This is the type of stuff I'd like to see at DreamHack. DreamHack set some money aside. They could put more money in this pot,
Yeah.
get more black women out here playing. I'm sold, bro.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially if DreamHack having reach they do internationally, um, since Black Hole Gamers is based and founded in the UK. It would be awesome to see that kind of just support coming from a major Oregon event like that in general. But yeah, this is awesome as well. BDG and Saga and those kind of folks, they definitely have always been big on showing up and making sure that there's opportunity for the women in gaming to also show out and do big things in different ways, and also especially on the competitive side. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen different events for Call of Duty, Apex, those kind of things going down in the past, and so I think with the kind of turnout they can get from this, I'm not sure if it's going to be streamed particularly or anything like that, just based off of what I saw on that end. But I do like that they plan these events as well in person too. So there's usually like both the in person side, but sometimes they might do an online thing. But it's going to be a good time, and they do it in ways that are also safe for the community. I know that a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the female players out there can get harassed
Oh
for
yeah.
nothing at all. But the BDG, Discord and such is private, and for good reason. They go through an entire process and vetting and those kind of things for folks
Mm-hmm.
that take part in different events like this too. So they always, put safety first, those kind of things too, which is awesome to see. So it's a good support system, and I made sure to share it with some of my friends and such. Sign up is over now; the deadline's over, but I'm sure there'll be other events going on over the next couple of months, both in Apex and some of the other ones that you see a lot of pull for. Overwatch had one. I want to say back when it was popping off. I'm not sure if they've done one yet for Overwatch 2, but they definitely had some in the past. So yeah, good for them, and hopefully we'll see more events like this from BDG and other sponsors in the future.
Yeah, I love to see it too. This is the not the first. I mean, this is actually the third one. So if there's
Mm-hmm.
three, then there's probably going to be a fourth one, man. Um, for our next one right here, really quick in our esports rundown, we have the Warzone 2 launch trailer. That just dropped, I believe, earlier today, this morning, around
Yeah,
9 a.m. And, well, I'm sure you had a chance to peek at this. What's your thoughts on this new Warzone, bro? Because it's looking pretty damn good.
yeah. I mean, there's still a lot of potential here. There's been a lot of chit chat and conversation about how people feel about Modern Warfare 2 in general, whether it's I mean, there's been chat about what people want to see from the original game and from Warzone as it's been new and improved to a certain extent. But it does look fairly good for COD. I mean, COD is COD. I mean, at the end of the day, you're either gonna like playing Call of Duty or you're not gonna like playing Call of Duty, or you're gonna be somewhere in between, but you still keep playing anyway. Like it's just gonna be one of those. But from what I can tell, the trailer itself is obviously more cinematic here, but I was just seeing something like the not just the gameplay, but more so some of the stuff they've been planning on rolling out and some of the updates because we've been covering it a lot here at Shack too on some of those things, similar to some of the Battlefield improvements over the past year because that game was real rough at launch. But we're seeing similar things here. There's a lot of things planned in the opening seasons and such with the COD uh, style things. But one thing I will say is that the game itself does look good in action, both on next gen and on PC. And it does seem like things are fairly optimized from launch. So I'm hoping to have that same kind of impact in level of polish when it comes to the Warzone side of things. Because I mean, obviously launch is launch, and not everything's gonna be perfect, especially when it comes to big multiplayer game launches like this. There can be server issues, and people did report issues with the game originally when it first dropped. But I'm hoping that Warzone has some stability that kind of makes this be a fun weekend because it's a good time. If you're into Call of Duty and shooters in general, this time frame I feel like is gonna be good for you. You got the holiday coming up. A lot of people come back home or at least have some downtime to kind of hop in. And get their feet wet with your new COD. And if you just haven't played the last couple of Call of Duties, you also get the opportunity to hop on the Warzone and try out this 2.0. So, me personally, I still got God of War to get into, so I don't know if I'm going to have
Man.
time for Holy Warzone right now, but I can see why people would be excited. It is dropping on Wednesday, so you have opportunity to get in on the new joint, I believe. And hey, I want to see some I'm sure the highlights from this game are going to be wild. Like there's going to be some, that's what I'm saying that Fortnite had the hold on for so long, is that there's just so much random you got Rick and Morty attacking you and stuff. Like there's all kind of stuff happening in that game. That's wild. But when you have vehicles and those kind of things and Warzone and this kind of stuff you can do, it can be really fun to watch. I see the TikToks and such on the interweb, the gaming highlights, those kind of things. So yeah, I think that makes it more interesting to me because I can think of some of the content creators I might want to watch, play the game and just seeing what kind of entertaining things they get into, dropping
Yeah.
down for the first time.
Yeah, bro. My cousins, they were very excited about this new game. They actually texted me this morning, or technically it would have been this afternoon, but I'm over here on the west and my body's just like, bro, where are we right now? But when I woke up, I seen it and they're like, yo, have you seen it? And I'm like, yep, it's just another shooter I'm gonna suck at. But if you ever want to run it, we can run it. So excuse me. They're very excited. I mean, they certainly share that same level of excitement, just wanting to play the game. Me personally, I don't play the game. I end up actually getting played by the game. But on the topic of people getting played and playing themselves, we got to talk about TSM Esports Org issue statement on sponsor FTX's bankruptcy. Now, this story kind of snuck under the radar for me. I don't know how I missed it. Maybe it's because we just this seems more like a Thursday thing that we probably would have had jumped into more than like this particular program. But apparently FTX has had some weird shit going on in the background, bro. X, Y, and Z. We don't really got to go into the exact details about that, but they have now lost their spot at the Miami Heat Center, I believe, right? Because aren't they the main sponsor for that now? Or at
Yeah,
least they were.
there's been a lot of shakeup with FTX in general over the past week, and we've been covering a lot at Shacknews. I put this story in because obviously Shaq's been covering things on the FTX side for the past week and a half or so. But there's also just the waves of shakeups that are happening because of all of the things that have been coming out. Obviously there was supposed to be a big move with FTX being purchased that didn't actually happen. Which
Mhm.
again, even if you think a deal is going to go through, until it actually does, nothing's off the table, and they found it out the hard
That's
way.
nice.
So that in itself led to some major shakeups. CEO was fired. Things are just it's not going well. So yeah, FTX being attached to the Miami Arena and those kind of things, they are looking into different avenues as far as both removal of that from the arena name, and we have TSM here who bring up that they are also seeking legal advice as far as like what they're gonna be doing in the future here, as FTX was a sponsor option. So yeah, there was conversation about cryptocurrency and esports and just that inside side of things blowing up and the potential there for these crypto companies to kind of dive into the esports realm because obviously there's some crossover with your tech side and
Yep.
crypto and such. And this isn't to say that still can't be emphasized, but this is a major blow to potential investors that may be interested in tying their esports org or league or whatever to these companies in the future. This one, obviously, TSM is huge, so they're going to be fine as far as being an org. There's not going to be anything in question here, but that is still something to keep in mind when it comes to the future of some of the decisions being made behind the scenes, or financially when it comes to the next FTX or something similar that might come down the line. Obviously, there's
Oh
still
yeah.
companies like Crypto.com and stuff like that that are doing their own things. But yeah, spreading pretty wide and pretty thin here on the FTX side.
Yeah, it ain't looking good, and I think when it comes to like business and partnerships and investors, it's always like a, well, what did they do for a different company? Like how much, pull, how much rank do they have? And to see a company like FTX get close to like, is it, I think of the Quicken Loans Arena or whatever down in Miami, and then of course the team TSM, it kind of lets you know, like, well, damn, like there are teams that they weren't vouching, but it's like we were partnering with them, which is essentially a vouch. We're touching the same sort of money, and hopefully in doing that, we have the same sort of goals that should be aligned together. Um, when you see that, it just kind of shakes up the overall hemisphere of what cryptocurrency is and what it's supposed to be in the esports space. Now, of course, a lot of people certainly have mixed feelings about cryptocurrency in general, especially in a space that is, I mean, there is a lot of money in esports. I mean, it's hard for me to say there isn't. We just talked about, the IAM Rio event
Mm-hmm.
just over the weekend, but this community is still budding, it's still growing. Esports, competitive gaming has been around for a long time, but esports as itself, like the actual title and what that means, is still very new. And to see cryptocurrency come in, fumble the bag, and then get the hell out of there raises some eyebrows. So, of course, my whole philosophy is that it's always player first. Like whatever we can do to keep the players happy, put money in their pocket. This is their goals. These are their dreams. This is what's stopping them from going back home and whatever. I'm with that, but there are stipulations, of course. And FTX, a lot of strange stuff that went on the back end of things. Now they're out of the picture. This kind of makes it difficult for the next crypto company to come in because TSM is huge, bro. It ain't like you just partner with like, some local esports or TSM. Like it very rarely gets bigger than that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's why it's a big deal when both the original partnership and news happened, but also situations like this where there's going to be some kind of falling out. But I do find it interesting just that TSM had released a statement, just basically acknowledging that they plan on being around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
They did say we are stable and profitable, and we continue to forecast profitability for this year, next year, and beyond. We look forward to a great year in 2023. So they're just reminding folks, like, hey, we're gonna be all right over here. There's not any worry about that. Even though we are pursuing opportunities for figuring out things on the legal side with the current sponsorship and partnerships and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just shows you how many different arms there can be that kind of reach out from different angles when it comes to both sponsors and things like that. It's a bit different when you have situations where there's just misconduct or something like that involved. But when a company's going under, it's still a bit new when it comes to seeing how it could affect a major org.
Yeah.
But it is one that's TSM. It's not like a scenario where like your main sponsor and your main source of income is all coming from that end. They're getting plenty of W's, so they're gonna be fine.
Bro. You ain't lying about that, bro. TSM ain't short in the money department by any stretch of the imagination. So big shout out to TSM, of course, for handling that one with absolute grace and just precision. FTX, it was a big deal when they partnered up with them. I mean, everybody was talking about on the internet like, yo, it's FTX, TSM now. All the jerseys were changed, all the attire, all the everything TSM related was changed and updated to the new graphic. And now it looks like they'll be changing it back. So, of course, we'll keep you updated out there, viewers, more about this topic. I'm sure, again, us over here at Shacknews, like we love to get them articles out, and any sort of update that happens, trust me, we'll be the first ones on it. With that in mind, that's actually going to cover the esports portion of the program. But then you know what that means, bro. You know it's time to talk about some food, man. It's sauce talk time.
Yes, indeed, it is. It is indeed sauce talk, and we got two relatively weird ones for you on this one, for sure. But hey, you should already know what to expect by now on on Sauce Talk every week. But I did bring this story in amongst the Slack and such with the whole Shack team. But we can go ahead and chat a little bit about the new Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield partnership that's going down. Something that I never thought would happen, but is actually happening. And they're bonding over food.
Yeah, they are. It's not to say that they finally have buried the hatchet. I think the hatchet has been buried for quite some time.
Yeah.
As hard as those things are to bury with Mr. Mike Tyson, because he is a very interesting gentleman. But This one came from at Phil underscore Lewis underscore, a very prominent name in culture. I follow them on Twitter, and I'm glad you linked them to me as well. Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield have partnered up to create and deliver Holy Ears, edible in the shape of an ear. If I was on cannabis, I wouldn't have bitten his ear, Tyson said, referring to the 1997 fight when the boxer bit Evander Holyfield's ear. This is the second food venture that we've covered here. I think we've talked about a drink that Mike Tyson was doing a few months ago, and it
Mm-hmm.
looks like he's not letting up. What's your thoughts on this, Danny?
Well, I mean, clearly, Tyson's diversifying his portfolio. I mean, he's got some advisors that are telling him, "Hey, look, it's time to get in on this." I know that RVD or Rob Van Dam, who's a pro wrestler for several years, is known for his cannabis company now, selling
Mm-hmm.
edibles and everything in between. It's obviously big business, especially if you got someone like Tyson who can be the face of it for you. So that in itself, solid. I mean, it's solid advertising in my opinion. But it being based on the years, that on the other hand, you couldn't think of a better opportunity here. I mean, you're both boxers. You couldn't think of like maybe some edible gloves or something, or like maybe this is some. So just I feel like there's something else we could have found in between imitating Holyfield's ear, which I mean at this point my man does not get. I mean it is funny. Yes, no, yeah. Blake and chat saying I think it's funny. No, it is, and I get that part. I think it would be hilarious under the influence, but at the same time, like when you tell your friends, I got a bag of holy ears. It's both that and the name. Like it's not even like holy ears. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get it. All right, but
Yeah,
it's just a lot to take in.
it's a lot, bro. It's a lot, and I think there is a. I feel like in like the cannabis department, it's still such a toss up. I mean, we talked about like how early in its infancy, esports is, and the same could certainly be said for like the cannabis, companies out there in the world. And I feel like there isn't like a clear direction on like how this should be commercialized, like weed products and things and such. Like no matter what, like people are going to consume these types of products. But it's like there are some strains, some things that I see that are marketed out there that feel more grounded. They just have regular names. It's very traditional marketing, whatever. And maybe I could be wrong. Obviously, I can't actually partake in any of these types of products. I just don't have the proper brain function for it. But then there's also stuff like this, like holy ears, where I'm just like, it shouldn't. Like I like the meme angle, like I like that it's funny, but I'm like I feel like before we do funny stuff in this department, I'd like to see more regular marketing with products, and then this type of stuff because there's a generation of people who like don't even know about like the fight or the bite, or any of the shit. So um, I like the angle. I just can't tell if it's too early or too late for this. But I mean, no matter how we spin it, like people are going to consume this product. It's edible. People love Mike Tyson. People love Evander Holyfield. People might not like what Mike Tyson did to Holyfield, but they're older now. They of course put that behind them, and it looks like they're partnering up. And if nothing else, like sometimes just the boom and the shock factor of like a one-off product, like it might not be a thing that they do forever, but just the boom like factor of it could be enough to get people to buy it, especially since it's Christmas themed. Mariah Carey's coming. I can hear her coming every time I wake up in the morning. Christmas is around the corner.
Mariah's
It's
already pulled up. Like she had a whole video and everything. As soon as November 1st happened, she took off the Halloween fit and was ready to roll.
yes, sir. Yeah, man. It's around the corner where I can smell the Christmas spirit in the air, man. But who knows? This could be the perfect stocking stuffer. Mike Tyson is. I think this is his second weed thing going on. I think the first one, of course, was the drink that we covered so many episodes ago. Now this.
Well, I mean, he had
Uh,
the. Well, this is like an extension of like the brand he already has going. So like,
yep.
I want to say they're called Mike Bites. Yeah, it started like earlier in the year. I want to say like around springtime is when he dropped the edibles.
Mhm.
So like, and they originally were saying like because of Mike Tyson being Mike Tyson, like he was always looking for ways to kind of de-stress and decompress and stuff like that. after different scenarios, obviously throughout his life. And
Right.
so like they kind of marketed it as that. So I mean there was somewhat of a serious angle in the past with like the Mike Bite side of things. So I guess looking at that more as like this being a one off, I could lean into the fun side of it. I guess a bit more in comparison to before. I mean, plus it just shows you how things can change with time. I mean, and with age, back in like 97, 98, it's a whole different conversation. But now here we
Man.
are, here we are, and they're wearing ugly sweaters together. So it's a whole different scenario in line there, and that itself I think is kind of just a good thing to see. Blake and Jet is saying yeah, he has his own cannabis company, yeah. But also, you would be willing to try it for on behalf of Wide World. Or you can come on and give us a review, Blake. What's going down? You're gonna tell us, what you thought of the Holy Years. I mean, look, I'm not sure how we can make that fully work, but if you have some contacts, then maybe we'll have to figure some things out. Add to the gift guide. He'll make a sacrifice. Okay, well, I'm sure it's a major sacrifice happening there for sure.
That's right. It ain't much, but it's honest work. I support it. And for the last sauce talk topic, this one right here I thought was super duper funny. Now, on the topic of Thanksgiving, right? Every year there's one debate. Well, actually, there's two. There's who has the best mac and cheese, and why is turkey still as highly regarded as it is as a dish. Now, I've been to a couple different types of Thanksgivings between both sides of the family, different girlfriends, different friends in the past, and turkey always seems to kind of come out the same way. It feels like here, hold on, I have it linked. It feels like Frank's Red Hot sauce is trying to change that question mark. Frank's Red Hot releases new injector marinade for 2022 holiday season. Now, Denny, as dry as turkey is hot sauce going to be the thing to change turkey, or do we just need to get a new dish, or just cook the dish different? Is hot sauce
Okay,
going to change it?
for starters, there's a couple of things here because I just talked to my girlfriend recently about Frank's Red Hots because while I'm using my television, I've seen a wide emphasis on Frank Red Hot's commercials for some reason. They're just playing that thing. Just it seems like it might be a YouTube TV thing, but the Red Hots have been popping up everywhere, and I'm like, look, I've never been that big of a fan of Frank's Red Hot in the first place. But like the commercials, like you gotta frank it up. Your hot dogs, your chicken. I'm like, first off, I'm not putting Frank Red Hots on hot dogs. Okay, for starters.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
like
fact.
they're putting it on everything. So does this surprise me that they're offering this? Not at all, because it seems like they're gonna give you opportunity to put Red Hots on anything you want to. But as far as putting it inside a chicken or a turkey, look, there are certain things that are sacred. I feel like you should not be taking a risk on the Thanksgiving turkey with
I
Frank's Red Hot.
wouldn't, man.
If you go down that route, look, you don't want to be that person who is remembered for that family dinner being terrible. All right, and then people are mentioning you a decade later, saying, "You remember when so and so brought that hot ass turkey for Thanksgiving?" So like, and your grandma bit into that piece of turkey wing, and she was over here sweating. Like, yeah, I don't want to be the one that has that kind of conversation happening. All right, do not end up in a scenario where you got your turkey basted with hot sauce, and the next thing you know, your uncle's asking you why his heart is speeding up right now because he wasn't prepared what was happening there. Plus, how does it match the rest of the Thanksgiving food? Like, am I supposed to be diving into my green beans and mashed potatoes with the hot sauce chicken?
So
It
I'm
just
glad you brought that up. There's only certain dishes that should be hot-ish. I'm saying hot-ish, because really spicy foods at Thanksgiving, depending on the culture, of course, everybody's culture is different, but typical black household, Thanksgiving rolls around. The greens, somebody like if there's regular greens, then somebody might bring a slightly spicier alternative. I have had, a little
yeah.
spicier greens or chitlins. There's some people who like hot sauce on their chitlins, but we don't put the chitlins in the hot sauce and serving it to people. this shouldn't even be a question right here for turkey. It's like, bro, hot sauce. You put the hot sauce on the turkey on your plate, because if not, you're gonna have a bunch of sleepy people. Because turkey puts your ass right to sleep. It has that stuff in it called tryptophan or whatever. That's gonna put you right to sleep, and your mouth is gonna be hot. And if your mouth isn't hot, for some people like myself, some hot foods are gonna send you right to the toilets. And look, at most functions, there's gonna be 50,000 cousins and aunties and everybody there, and there's probably gonna be 2 bathrooms. Do not be the guy that is forever remembered for. Yeah, cousin Rod brought the damn red hot turkey, and it just sent everybody to the toilets. We all had to go home early. No electric slide. No, we not even lasting long enough for the peach cobbler. We got to call it early because you done killed everybody. Don't
Yeah,
be that guy.
you don't want to be that one. Taking everybody out right now. Because I feel like if I was in a scenario where you got hot sauce turkey and you didn't tell me what's hot sauce turkey, and I'm thinking it's regular turkey and it's not,
I'm gonna be mad.
it would not be a good scene at the family dinner table. It's not gonna it's not gonna go well because we have in our traditional Thanksgiving sometimes we'll have some special turkey set up, like we have a deep fried turkey, or even one year we had like a side. One of my uncles brought a jerk turkey. They got jerked and
Oh
everything,
damn!
and it ended up being fire. Some mac and cheese. It was hidden. All right, but we knew what it was beforehand. If you pull up and this turkey is looking like it's looking regular on the outside and it's full of hot sauce on the inside, I don't know what's gonna happen to you. I just that's a scenario I would not want to be around for.
No,
So yes, please keep the Frank's Red Hot baster away from your turkey this year. Do not go down that route.
yeah, keep that shit on Ripley's Believe It or Not or Fear Factor where that belongs. That doesn't belong in any household. I'm just envisioning my grandma. It's just there's no timeline that exists out there in the multiverse of Black Thanksgivings where this is going to work. Trust me, Danny and I have checked. Your grandma gonna slap the absolute hell out of you for bringing this. So don't be that guy. But if you do want to be that guy on your own accord, let's say you can find the Frank's Red Hot Injector Marinade at select retailers nationwide and online in a 16-ounce jar for $7.99. So for $7.99, you too can ruin your own Thanksgiving. So there you go, friends.
Price point, yeah.
Yeah, that's just absolutely not. Well, with that in mind, friends, that actually concludes Sauce Talk. But we got to talk about our own game over here at Shacknews, the way that we gamify certain things that goes down. That's where we got to talk about Cortex, Danny. And I'm excited for this one here. I'm actually going to pull this up. I've been on the website all morning, actually reading some of the articles. I forgot to shout out TJ actually for the FTX TSM article. There's just damn. I mean, the team at Shacknews, we're just a machine, and we just get stuff out, man, as quickly as it drops. Wait a minute. Oh, Carnage report. Sorry.
That's good. I got it up on this end.
Okay, cool. Okay.
I mean, as you can see, your boy
Yes,
8
sir.
Mikey is still putting in that work.
Damn, bro. When is 8 Mikey gonna take it? We gotta. You know what? I was thinking. I don't really know exactly where 8 Mikey would fit on any of the programs. I mean, the Wide World, of course, would make the most sense. But like, even when we were doing Pop Goes to Culture, I thought maybe bringing him on there too, like maybe the dump. Like, I don't know. We got a lot of shows, but I'm thinking if he doesn't want to show himself, and if we don't want to actually like put him on camera, like we want to still keep up the mystery, we could even do like a Twitter Spaces interview or something with 8 Mikey. Something, bro. Like, we got to talk to this dude because he has been on an absolute tear. Now, of course, we got Patty Ann on there. Blake Morse, of course, is also in the chat, pulling up in third place. Dog Nose, and a lot of other people. Mad Dog, Delphi 97, a name that used to be heavily regarded as the best Shacknews Cortex anything ever, that's now kind of fallen by the wayside. 8 Mikey, bro. Bro, look at these points.
Yeah, he's been putting in the work. I mean, Shack Pets, he's putting in that time on the Shack Pets, but he's been getting on the Shacknews and getting those points. But I do agree. I think it would be interesting to have 8 Mikey on. Maybe we could do one of those like cast Black Shadow interview type things like they do on 60 Minutes, and just have my man with like the voice change or whatever
Mm.
come in, and you just just have him like coming in here with the voice modifier on, and we're like, yes,
Right.
I've been swiping nonstop on over here on the Shack Pets end, but shout out to Mikey, he's still putting in the work. He says it doesn't matter, rain, shine, or sleep. I'm gonna get these Shack Pets points in these swipes. Come holiday time, we'll see. Man, will he be swiping at the Thanksgiving dinner table? Will he still be going at it? You know, when they're serving up that dressing and macaroni and cheese. I'm not sure. But we know he's gonna be in that top three at the very least. But who knows?
That's right.
Things can change any given week. If you're watching now, you can always hop on Shack Pets, get in some time, maybe get if you got some pets out here having some fun in those leaves while you're raking them up, get some of those photos in. We love to see them. But yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to 8 Mikey. Mason, won the chatty end with a hefty amount of points. I'm thinking that there might have been one of those threads this week over on chatty side. But yeah, Shack Pets overall for the week of November 6th and for a couple of days too. 8 Mikey's been putting in the work. So we'll see what goes down next week, on next week's show. But also as we move into the holiday period and see if my man's still putting in that time.
Yeah. We will have to see how it all unfolds. As we know, champions come and go here at Shacknews. I think even when we used to do the stimulus games, it was hard to really pick who was going to win. I mean, we did know like some of the conditions, like hey, you got to play Blake under these conditions or play whoever under these conditions. But like even then, like it was always a toss up, and it was like that type of thinking, that type of tradition is still carrying on over onto the chatty end of things, and I'm I like it a lot. I like your 60 Minutes idea. Maybe get them on and let them talk some good shit. Like, yeah, I'm the best. Everybody else is free. I can't be stopped and whatever. Because
Hey, I
I'm gonna
mean,
be
if it
real,
gives
bro.
people,
Like,
people want some Shack Pets, then yeah, make it happen. A little trash
yeah,
talk.
bro, a little trash like never hurt anybody. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully we can see it happen. And friends, with that in mind, I gotta leave you with some final words. You could be a champion just like these people that we just shown here, or you could be a bigger one. You can really carve your own lane and carve your own path. But it all starts, of course, with supporting what's going on here. Not just the wide world of electronic sports, but everything that makes Shack News the great company that it is. That's right. You can head on over to our website, www.shacknews.com. That is our centralized hub for all things Shack News related. That's where you'll find all the wonderful staff members, not including just myself and Denny, of course, Blake in the chat, Morgan, and everybody else, that does great work over there, doing it for Shack News the right way. Denny Von Doom, of course, my right hand man, my ace Boone Coon, of course. Big shout out to you as always for pulling up, and you can follow him at Denny Von Doom on Twitter. His work here at Shack News, of course, certainly speaks for itself. In charge of making all of our social medias look as handsome and as pretty as possible between Twitter, Instagram, and everything else in between. Of course, we have 2 YouTube channels as well, too. Trust me, there's so much happening in Shack News. We had to start up a second channel just to make sure we capture all of it. But there's game reviews, interviews, stream VODs, everything you name it. For all those friends who couldn't catch a lot of what we do live in person, the YouTube is just as fun and just as sturdy and prolific as what we got going on over here at Twitch. If you like what you've seen over here at Twitch, then you know what you need to do. The follow button is cool, but sometimes it ain't enough, okay? I mean, holiday season's coming up. I'm just going to
Yes,
leave it at
sir.
that. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, man. $4.99 a month ain't gonna hurt you. Trust me, you spend $4.99 just walking outside these days. This economy is crazy. Why not support the good people over here at Shack News? Come on, we've been good boys and girls and all of the wonderful friends inside out and in between this year. We deserve all your love and affection, okay? Keep us looking good, sounding good. It starts with you, of course, shooting us that subscription. You can subscribe to us on YouTube as well when we drop stuff. That's Greg Burkleton Burke. I mean, those notifications will stay ever so present. Hit that
For
bell,
sure.
subscribe, link up with us, bro. What's up?
Speaking of love and affection, we got plenty of love to show to Steve Tindall next. So make sure you guys stick around because he'll be kicking off right after us, really shortly here as well. Before we go, I gotta bring up one last thing here because Blake brought up apparently stuffing a turkey full of ground up Big Macs is tasty as fuck.
Oh, hell no!
I don't believe that, Blake. But you know what? If you try it, we'll talk about it on an episode of Wide World. All right, we're headed out of here. The show is over. But stick around for Steve Tindall, and we'll be back again next week with some more fun.
That's right. See y'all next Monday. Peace.
Peace out and be easy.